What is the best move on every weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds? A truly ponderous question that we're going to try and answer today in part 1 of this heavily researched, highly factual, objective list of biased personal opinions. Now, if you're even a mildly skeptical person, you may have some doubts about the purpose of a video like this. Why does this even matter? What is even considered a single move? Do different builds and playstyles change the answer? And is there even a point in picking a best move when every move is just a small building block in a much wider moveset? The answer is no to all of those, even to the ones that aren't yes or no questions. And now, with your doubts dispelled, let's get started with rules. Given that this is a vague question, it's gonna have some vague rules. I don't really have any particular qualifications for what's considered to be a move, but I'm gonna try and keep it to just one action. And as far as defining what the best move is, I'm gonna try and pick the move that does the most for the weapon's moveset, not necessarily just what does the most damage, or even the move that you use the most often. If you have any qualms with my decisions, leave them in the comments, or just make your own video reacting to it, telling me that I have no idea what I'm talking about. Either works. And now, let's get started with part 1 of our biased list with Hunting Horn. The Hunting Horn was incredibly easy to pick a best move for. Not just because I play it, but because I think it has a clear answer for the number 1 move. The Hunting Horn's number 1 move is going to be the Echo Bubble placement dance, creatively given the in-game name of Echo Bubble.
Your son is a genius.
So, in the spirit of creativity, I'm instead going to call it the Circle Twirkle. This move does pretty much everything for you. It places an Echo Bubble, which is the sole legal proprietor of a good chunk of your damage. It immediately applies the Echo Bubble effect to you because you're already in it. It lets you queue up 3 free notes, which is needed for the other chunk of your damage. It can be chained into any of your other moves, including another Circle Twirkle, and depending on your horn, it will also simulate having tinnitus. Dude, this is a tinnitus simulator. While the Hunting Horn has a myriad of different moves, including an offset and some great ways to do damage, if it didn't have the Circle Twirkle, it would surely feel out of tune. The Charge Blade. What move would be considered the best on the Charge Blade? This was probably the hardest weapon to decide on because the CB has a couple of moves that I think you could make a strong argument for. Initially, I was tempted to give it to the Savage Axe B button because it's basically the best damaging move on the whole weapon. This move is so good that the only reason you're not going to be mashing and holding down the B button for multiple ticks is because you literally can't, either because Savage Axe mode isn't live or the monster is trying to hit you. My next instinct would be to give it to Perfect Guard. Perfect Guard comes with all the benefits of every Perfect Guard, letting you tank a wide range of hits, proc offensive guard, and trigger any Power Clash related skills. However, on the Charge Blade, it also counts as a guard point, letting it serve as the gateway to pretty much the entire Charge Blade moveset. Perfect Guard leads into Aid, Sade, Shield Charge, Neutral, and most importantly, Savage Axe mode. It also has a couple other fun little benefits like building up stun damage. I think the last contender would be the Charge Blade Focus Strike. The game plan for a lot of Charge Blade players is to get Savage Axe mode live, and then akin to that one scene in the Titanic, never letting go. While Perfect Guarding is a perfect way to get into Savage Axe mode, especially with the initial monster roar, using the Focus Strike to turn it on also has some benefits. Contrary to some other weapons, the Charge Blade wound attack is kinda good. You get free Savage Axe, using it in Savage Axe form instantly transforms you to Sword and Shield mode, and it lets you take advantage of wounding being a broken mechanic in this game, even if you have to beg like a pauper for wounds in multiplayer. Now, I think you can make the argument for really any 3 of these options, and the one you pick sorta depends on your playstyle and where you are with your CB journey. But I think I'm gonna give it to Perfect Guard. While it's not the highest damaging move or the easiest to execute, I think it's the move that gives you the most amount of options and lets you pilot the weapon the most effectively. With that said, CB players, let me know what you think in the comments below. Greatsword. Appropriate to its name, the Greatsword has a bunch of great moves. But which one is the best? Will it be full charge TCS, especially now that it's turnable with focus mode? Is it Strong Charge Slash, the second hit of the TCS combo, now that it has much better movement values? Or is it perhaps something more subtle, like Tackle, allowing you to armor through moves, or Guard, now that it's actually useful? For today's video, I'm gonna give it to Offset Rising Slash, the Great Sword Offset. Not all offsets are built the same, but you could argue that the Great Sword has the best one. This is one of the offsets that doesn't require any setup, can be held for a couple seconds before needing to let go of it, and it actually rewards you for hitting it by teleporting you to the monster and doing a follow-up attack, even if you offset like Arkfeld's left toenail from a mile away. Even if you don't get the offset topple because the monster isn't ready yet, you're still usually in a great position to do your own follow-up hit, or tackle or dodge through the next move, which essentially ties your entire moveset together. It also procs Counter-Strike if it's on your build, and if you've made a real critical error, you can dodge out of the charge animation, though it does require you to hit 50% of the buttons on your controller simultaneously. While this isn't the answer to every attack a monster throws out, I think you'll find yourself getting quite a lot of mileage out of this move. Longsword. As Longsword's moveset is pretty much built around not getting hit and raising gauge levels, you can probably guess that Longsword's best move is one of its gauge level raising counters. So the real question is whether the best move is Foresight or EI Spirit Slash. Foresight has a very lenient window for hitting it. You can use directional inputs to, quote, back that ass up into whatever direction you want, allowing you to position yourself in such a way to get hit better or to close gaps. And while you can follow it up into the gauge level raising final hit of Spirit Round Slash, you can also opt to do a little move before chaining into a second Foresight or cancel it mid-animation into Special Sheath. It also gets the upgraded Red Charge version, which for the sake of this video I will count as part of Foresight, that does a bit more damage and goes a bit farther. On the other hand, EI Spirit Slash also has a pretty lenient window for hitting it. That is, after the 5 frames of input delay, it rewards you with a full charge level for hitting it successfully and doesn't punish you for missing it. It can also chain back into itself if used with Spirit Charge. Both of these are very useful counters for different reasons, but I'm gonna have to give this one to EI Spirit Slash for 2 reasons. First of all, Special Sheath is affected by the Quick Sheath skill, letting you EI faster if you're running it on your build. And secondly, for whatever God-forsaken reason, Capcom decided to make the optimal combo on the LS look like this. Which uses the first hit of the Spirit Slash combo, which requires gauge. And while hitting Red Gauge Foresight loses a bit of gauge after the first time, EI Spirit Slash does not, which lets you do your DPS combo for longer. Before I forget, there's actually a third reason, which is that EI doesn't use stamina while Foresight does, which is important because Maximum Might is pretty good at this point in the game. With that said, both counters are integral to the Longsword playstyle, and you could probably make a solid argument for either one. Switch Axe. So many weapons with important moves, and the Swag Axe is no exception. We've got axe moves, sword moves, morph moves, discharge moves, and of course the Swag Axe's favorite move, building up stun damage on yourself. The Swags got an offset and a counter for this game. Well, the counter isn't new, and I'm very tempted to put one of these as the weapon's best move because of how necessary they are to help you keep up aggression and help you build up charge for the weapon. But unfortunately, Swag Axe has another move, one far younger and more powerful. And that move is Full Release Slash. While your different decisions mid-battle about how to use your different modes and counters and how to optimize all your gauges takes a lot of planning and knowledge. Once that sword gauge is full, all your decisions converge to one point. Full Release Slash is a massive charge-up attack that unleashes a barrage of 2 swings and files directly into the monster, and it comes with super armor. Literally the moment that your sword gauge is full and the monster isn't doing something that's gonna kill you in the next 2 seconds, turn on Monkey Brain, start charging this baby up, and the moment your sword glows bright, regardless of what move the monster picks, you're gonna do big damage. And so we're gonna give this one to Full Release Slash. The Bow. Ah yes, the bow. The humble, medieval peasants' preferred hunting weapon, and the only weapon that, up until Wilds, would show the literal weapon when looking it up on Google. However, no weapon is without drawbacks, and the bow is no exception. And no, pulling back your bowstring is not going to be counted as a drawback, even though it's technically a literal drawback. Drawback 1 would be the number of drugs that you are required to consume to prevent yourself from collapsing in the middle of battle. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. Drawback 2 is being built like a vase from Repo and instantly dying if someone even looks at you the wrong way. Now, if there was one move that mitigated all these drawbacks, it should probably be the best, right? And so, I think Bow's best move is going to Charge Sidestep / Discerning Dodge, or as some people call it, the Charge Dash. Charge Dash has always been a key staple for playing the bow, giving you a large window to dodge the monster and letting you skip straight to doing fully charged shots. But in Wilds, if you time the dodge so a monster hits you during its invulnerability window, it turns into Discerning Dodge, which is basically Charge Dash on steroids. Or I guess it's Monster Hunter, so Charge Dash on Wiggly Litchi. If timed perfectly, Discerning Dodge restores stamina, gives you back coatings, repositions even farther from the monster, walks your dog, does your taxes, and still has all the earlier benefits of Charge Dash. Even without Discerning Dodge, I feel like Charge Dash was already in the running for the best bow move. But with Discerning Dodge, I feel like it's a no-brainer. Hammer! While some would say that Hammer's best move is the right D-pad to change weapons because of the travesty that was committed against its motion values. I think picking the best move for Hammer is actually pretty difficult, and that's because Hammer has a lot of moves that are pretty vital to making it even playable. For starters, the Hammer has 2 offsets, or 1 offset from 2 places, one at the end of the spinny combo, and one during the triple Y combo. The offset can be held for a little while, but its range is short and it has a downside of needing to be set up beforehand with a little bit of a combo. So often you will find yourself pausing for a bit to see if there's a move you need to offset at that time. While it's not the best offset in the game, you will find yourself doing it pretty often because of how it lets you keep up damage and the different moves it can lead into. Hammer Charge is another good choice as you often find yourself holding this while running around. This will set you up for either an attack or a charge step letting you armor through some attacks and roars. However, for the best move, I think I'm going to give it to the Mighty Charge. Mighty Charge is a bit of a weird pick because it doesn't actually do anything other than damage. But one of Hammer's main struggles in this game, because of the aforementioned travesty, is doing damage. And it is slightly remedied by how many moves let you go into Mighty Charge. In fact, part of what makes some of the other moves so good is that they lead into the Mighty Charge, like the YYY offset. Heck, you'd rather go into the Mighty Charge than Big Bang Finisher, which is kinda crazy. Now, the developers did say that they will probably buff the Hammer at some point, so this answer is definitely subject to change. Anyway, that's it for part 1. We still have 7 weapons to go. If you think I got one of your weapons wrong, or if you have an even harder take for the best move on your weapon, please let me know in the comments. And if I haven't covered your weapon yet, leave what you think might be the best move on your weapon in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.